So, leading NGOs are now set to challenge the International Criminal Court's warrants for the arrest of Netanyahu and Gallant. Absurd warrants, by the way, let's just be clear. It's an utter disgrace that they're being accused of criminal acts when they are engaged in a just war for survival against a Nazi-like enemy. But let me read to you this story that was sent to me. On 22nd of July, 2024, the ICC, International Criminal Court, accepted a request by 4 leading NGOs to file a challenge to the court's jurisdiction to issue arrest warrants against Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. UK Lawyers for Israel, the International Legal Forum, B'nai B'rith, and the Jerusalem Initiative will now be able to challenge the ICC's jurisdiction to issue warrants for the arrest of the 2 Israeli ministers, which were sought by the ICC prosecutor Karim Khan KC for alleged war crimes in Israel's response to the Hamas massacre of October 7th. The decision follows the court's grant of leave to the UK government on 27th of June 2024 to provide a submission on whether the ICC can exercise jurisdiction over Israeli nationals in circumstances where Palestine, quote-unquote, cannot exercise criminal jurisdiction over Israeli nationals pursuant to the Oslo Accords. The NGOs support the UK's position that under the Oslo Accords, Palestine does not have criminal jurisdiction over Israeli citizens that can be delegated to the ICC. They also assert that the court lacks jurisdiction on the basis that Palestine cannot be considered a state under international law. Furthermore, the NGOs argue that the prosecutor failed to properly take into account one of the most foundational principles upon which the court is governed, that of complementarity, given that Israel has a widely respected, independent, and robust national legal system. The NGOs also refer to documents showing that the ICC's previous ruling was based on incorrect information, that the UN Secretary-General had circulated the Palestinian request to join the ICC to existing members of the ICC for comment before accepting it. The court also accepted a separate request by these NGOs together with the Simon Wiesenthal Centre to submit written observations regarding serious factual inaccuracies and the omission of highly relevant information and evidence contradicting the allegations in the prosecutor's applications for arrest warrants of the Israeli leaders. However, the court ordered that all these observations must be made in a single 10-page document. Jonathan Turner, Chief Executive of UK Lawyers for Israel, said, "We welcome the opportunity to challenge the jurisdiction of the ICC, particularly in light of our inquiries, which showed that neither the ICC itself nor its members have seen the key document on which its previous majority ruling on jurisdiction was based. However, the condition that our submissions detailing the numerous inaccuracies in the allegations made by the prosecutor, as well as submissions on jurisdiction and admissibility, must all be confined within 10 pages, is a highly unsatisfactory restriction. It will seriously curtail our attempt to ensure that the court does not act on the basis of false information. It is a matter of great concern, liable to produce grave injustice, if the court is not willing to examine the detailed evidence we present, demonstrating the wholesale inaccuracy of the prosecutor's allegations against Israel." It's mad. Arsen Ostrovsky, Chief Executive of the International Legal Forum, said, "The ICC prosecutor's decision to seek arrest warrants against the Prime Minister and Defense Minister of Israel was an egregious and unprecedented violation of every norm of international law. It not only entirely lacks substance, but also underscores the court's blatant lack of jurisdiction in the first instance to pursue the Israeli leaders who have already gone to unprecedented levels to abide by international law in response to the terrorist group Hamas, who committed the massacre of October 7th and continue to hold 120 hostages captive in Gaza. Furthermore, the prosecutor's attempt to draw moral equivalence between terrorist leader who commit the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust and leaders of the Democratic State of Israel was utterly obscene, unconscionable, and cannot be permitted to stand." It really is an absurd miscarriage of justice that Israel is being told that the way she's trying to fight this war is unacceptable. When we've seen, and I'm not even necessarily justifying this, but we've seen such a surgical level of precision at the cost of Israeli lives in fighting Hamas. I often wonder, should Israeli lives be sacrificed to be extra surgical when it's the other side that started this war and has the widespread support of the population. But either way, certainly in our own hearts, in our own minds, we should not be looking to these international courts for any kind of moral leadership or moral clarity. But I suppose if people can try to fight and push back in these courts, then they should. And good for these NGOs for doing that. It is ridiculous that they're only limited to 10 pages. You should know also that the people involved in the original case against the Israeli leaders, so many of the people involved were clearly, and you could demonstrate this, were hostile to Israel prior and already calling it a genocide in the early weeks and months of the war, when there was so little data to justify that, and not even what would be in any way an acceptable threshold to use such a term. And it's, by the way, it isn't now either, but it just shows how desperate they were to try and undermine Israel from the get-go. But yeah, we wish the best of luck to the NGOs, and I believe that when fighting the fight, we should do what we can on all fronts. You know, I'd focus more on education, other people focus on lawfare, other people will literally fight. Sometimes it has to be a multi-pronged approach.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.